This one's for the Vegas locals and Vegas locals only. STN Sports is the sports betting experience built for you. From the app to the 19 convenient locations across the valley to sign up, bet, and watch your favorite games. And with a massive betting menu and daily odds boost, there are tons of ways to get in the action. Sign up today.
This place is about competition. It always has been, and it's just wide open. And I don't need to talk about any names right now. I think the fact, if you watch the rotations, and we're giving everybody a chance, mixing guys with the ones and the twos all the way throughout, just to gather a bunch of information. I went right back to cut-ups yesterday of the first 2 days, just watching each individual guy, and we're just putting the information in the vault here, and we'll figure it out in time. But we have a good young, spunky group of guys now, and the young guys that came in this past draft are part of that competition too. So it's exciting.
Welcome, Raider Nation, to Vegas Nation First and 10, your go-to podcast for all your Raider news and analysis. I'm Vinny Bonsignore. I cover the Raiders for the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation. To my right is my good friend and colleague, Adam Hill. Also covers the Raiders and everything else in Las Vegas for the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation. Before we get to everything, I just wanted to remind everyone that all Vegas Nation podcasts are brought to you by the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Station Casinos STN Sports. And we thank them for all their support. It's day 4 of training camp here with the Raiders, and we heard Pete Carroll at the top of the show talking about how competition drives this whole thing. It's what they're going to be all about. Adam, we knew that was going to be the case. That's just how he's wired, and that's just how the NFL is wired. But there might be a little bit of a surprising job fight that's developing here, and that's at starting center of all places, where over the first 4 days of training camp, and today completed day 4 of camp, Jordan Meredith and Jackson Powers-Johnson, it's actually the order has been Jackson Powers-Johnson and Jordan Meredith, have split the 4 days of practice, 2 practices each, as the first team starting center. That included today, Sunday, where Jordan Meredith got the bulk, if not the exclusive first team reps as the starting center. And talking to some people in the building, hey, what's that all about kind of thing? Is this just about getting the centers, lined up with each quarterback, and each quarterback lined up with each center, just trying to develop some chemistry? And there is a little bit of that, but the reality of it, as I've been told, is there's competition everywhere, and apparently it includes starting center, Adam.
Yeah, I don't fully believe it, and I know where it comes from. Trust me, I know it's reliable, but I think the message is competition.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to send a message that nobody's given a job. Even Jackson Powers-Johnson, everybody just assumed is the starting center this year. He's being handed it over. I think they're saying, hey, look, there's a battle for every single position on the depth chart, every single position on the roster, and everybody's going to have to battle for those positions. I do tend to think it's more trying to get those guys work with each of the quarterbacks because they need to have that happen. I think as we go through camp, we'll probably see Jackson Powers-Johnson probably start to take over the majority of reps at center, and I think that's probably, or at first team center, I think that's probably what's going to happen. But I think it's a good way to get the work that we talked about. Everybody has to work. You have to work with Aiden. Both centers have to. Both quarterbacks have to work with both centers.
Everyone, the quarterback and the center, are one snap away from playing with each other.
So, and I think it's a good way to do that, and to also send a message of nothing's given. Like nobody. Last year, Jackson Powers-Johnson played center well when he was there. He played guard okay when he was there too. Like, everybody just assumed he's the guy now. Andre James is gone. Jackson Powers-Johnson's the center, and I think it was like, no. Everybody's fighting for their jobs here, and I think that's a good way to, like I said, both get the work and to send the message that no job is safe.
Now, I'm completely with you, and I'd be shocked if it wasn't Jackson Powers-Johnson as a starting center. However, here's one thing that I will say that that makes me go, because they haven't done it in any other position on the offensive line.
Right.
Every single day, the starting offensive line, except for center, has been left tackle Colton Miller, left guard Dylan Parham, right guard Alex Kappa, and right tackle DJ Glaze. Under your premise, which I tend to agree with more than anything, because that's been my thought process the entire time, but then doing a little bit of checking around today, and I was like, wait, hold on a second. There's competition everywhere on this roster. That made me go, whoa, okay, that's the way it was, kind of translated to me was made my eyebrows raise a little bit. And the fact that they haven't done that, and we've seen training camps with the Raiders, covering the Raiders as we have, where the entire offensive line, except for maybe Colton, has been, when he's here. Last year he wasn't even healthy at this time of year, but basically he's been the left tackle, and there's been interchangeable parts along the offensive line as they've tried to figure out the best five. That really hasn't been the case other than at center.
Yeah, which I think lends. You said that part. I mean, you could translate it that way. I would translate it as, yeah, that even lends more to they're just trying to make sure both centers work with both quarterbacks. I mean, I think you can. There's a lot. Trust me, I'll tell people there is a lot of things that happen on the field you can analyze a lot of different ways during training camp. I think that's very, very fair to point out. And so I think in this case, this very, very particular case, I think you can say it could go either way. It could mean either thing.
Yes.
I tend to look at it as they're sending a message of competition, even though there's not an actual competition. Although, now that I say that, like every job, there's competition. I mean, there could be, there's a job that you might not be, that you might not think is at stake right now, and all of a sudden, somebody else is starting because they've
seen that before.
An unbelievable camp or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's always competition. There's always a chance somebody takes a job. I would be absolutely stunned.
Same here.
If Jackson Powers-Johnson isn't the starting center.
Now,
week one.
Having said that, and real quick about Jordan Meredith, who had a hell of a year last year.
Played very well at guard last year.
He was their highest ranked offensive lineman last year, into the 80s per Pro Football Focus, and really, I mean, just across the board, he played really well.
Also, literally the nicest person.
Yes.
I actually asked, and I say that every time we talk about him. I actually asked Alex Kappa today, "Have you seen Jordan Meredith get mad yet?" And he said, "I think he has it in him."
Yeah.
But he didn't say yes.
Right.
He certainly didn't say yes.
There you go.
Very, very nice guy, and played very well. And
Extremely well.
I think it was actually surprising how well he played because of, like, I think even some of his teammates know that he can play well, but you kind of just see him in the locker room just
and he was
always
a practice
being nice.
Squad guy, mostly.
Practice squad guy that's just always nice to everybody, always asking sir, no sir,
right.
please, thank you,
Yeah.
and even to his teammates, like just the most sweet, polite guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets on the field and he had that dog in him last year. I think it was fair to say.
No doubt about it. Now, went back and looked. He has played exclusively right guard or left guard through the 3 years of his career. Last year was by far the most snaps that he got. It was well over 500. Most were at left guard, but he also played right guard, and he played it, like we said, extremely well. I guess the point I'm making is that he hasn't played center in the NFL. Well, I think in college he may have. I'd have to go back and look at
and I
that.
think he's done some here practice wise.
Yeah.
I think I've seen him play, but I think this even adds one more level to this. I think they probably want to see him be able to play center and show that he can play center if he's going to make the team as a reserve guard / center.
Yeah.
Hey, give him a bunch of reps at center, see if he can play, and make sure that he can do both of those jobs. Because for backup, when you're dressing guys, and it's usually you dress 8 on a game day for offensive line, those reserve offensive linemen, the backups have to be able to play multiple positions.
No doubt.
And if you have a guy that can play guard, and now all of a sudden, all right, he can play center too, he can be your backup center, he can play some guard too, that'll make him much more valuable on the roster. So this is also another way to see, he can play center also.
Yeah. It's something to follow, and on Monday everything gets leveled up quite a bit. It's the first day of pads, so we'll see if we're going by the rotation the way it's been. Tomorrow on Monday, it's going to be Jackson Powers-Johnson's day. It will be in full pads, and we'll be able to glean a little bit more from that. So that's one surprising, what I felt is a surprising quote unquote, or I guess I should put the quotes on the actual competition. We'll see how real that competition is. But I think on the other side of the football, there is a real competition brewing, and before we get to that, let's hear from defensive coordinator Patrick Graham, who spoke today after practice about how this defense is coming together, especially on the communication side.
We're in a relationship-based business, and so with those relationships that we build off the field, on the field, it makes it easier to communicate. Just right between the eyes, communication. Whether something's right or wrong between the players, coaches, players, the coaches. And then on the field, in order to play defense, there's a lot of grass out there defending. If we could communicate effectively, be a noisy defense and kind of cut down the variables by seeing a cut split, seeing where the quarterback is, if he's under or in the gun, and cut down the variables, that puts back in our favor a little bit because they have a play called and we're reacting to the
So if you haven't had a chance to get the app yet, again, we still have the $50 no-worry wager available. What a great time to get in the summer. Get yourself familiar with the app. The auto racing, horse racing, the golf,
women's
the
softball
MMA. I mean, whatever you're interested in, check out the STN Sports app.
That's Patrick Graham, the Raiders defensive coordinator, talking about his defense as a whole, but one in particular, and this is no surprise at all. We've written about it, extensively throughout the offseason and certainly into training camp. But there is a real battle going on at cornerback. And today it took a little bit of a surprising turn because pretty much throughout the first 3 days of training camp, it was veteran Eric Stokes and the rookie Darian Porter as the two starting perimeter cornerbacks, with Jacorian Bennett now in his third year, and DeCamerion Richardson now in his second year as the second team cornerbacks. Well, today, for I would say the majority of practice, DeCamerion replaced Darian Porter, and JT Woods, a third-year player from the Chargers, who, by the way, was drafted by Tom Telesco over in Los Angeles, replaced Jacorian as the second team cornerback, and Jacorian was running with the third team cornerback. So a little bit of a surprise there, but another indication that it remains a little bit muddied or unsettled at cornerback, and I think that's a full bloom competition at that position. Yeah, except for Eric Stokes, apparently.
Yeah, and Woods, and I have to look back at some of his alignments and where he's been, but I think he's played more safety.
I know
than he has corner.
Yeah.
He was out, definitely out on the boundary today quite a bit.
Yep.
And I will also say defense did not have a great day. There was a lot of movement on the defensive side.
Yeah,
not a great day for sure.
We're going to get into
for the defensive side.
It was a good day for the offense.
Yeah.
In particular, the first team offense with Geno Smith.
Yeah, and so I would notice that there was a lot of moving pieces, a lot of different guys, different rotations that were going on, and struggled on that side of the ball. I'd say for sure for most of the day.
Yeah, there was a really I got to give Eric Stokes some props, because there was a red zone drill, 11 on 11. Geno threw to Brock Bowers. And Eric Stokes made a spectacular play, actually, because you don't normally knock the ball out of Brock Bowers' hands or have him covered like that. He had him covered like a glove, knocked it out of the way. Later on, in that same end zone, but on the opposite side, Geno just dropped a dime to Brock Bowers, toward the corner of the end zone. That was over Darian Porter, and I want to say, I forget who else was helping out on that side, but really good throw by Geno Smith. And along those lines, yes, it was a struggle for the defense today. It was also a pretty strong day for the offense. And I thought Geno Smith by far had his best day today.
Yeah, no question. There's no question. And Aiden O'Connell had his worst day, I would say. Fair to say that it was going in very, very divergent paths for the two quarterbacks today, I would suggest. And on that catch by Bowers that you're referring to in the corner of the end zone, it was a very good throw, but I will point out that it was Brock Bowers that made that a good throw with the way that he was able to shade his body and really fight off any chance of anybody getting there, and he basically came to a stop and fought off without even turning around. Just really good body control, really good use of his frame to just drop that ball in and adjust to where the ball was.
Yeah, he's the natural. There's no question about it.
Also, even more impressive than the catch, did you see he caught the ball and just threw it up in the air?
Yeah.
It went so far.
Telling you, man, he's the natural. Far. He's the natural.
Can't catch a fly ball.
He's one of those dudes that. But I guess I guarantee you, if you gave it a week, he'd be circling fly balls pretty darn well. So as the Raiders general manager John Spytek said, he's legit worried that the A's might draft him. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. I'm kidding. They're not going to do that. I would give it a flyer though if I'm the A's. It seems like they've got their power.
Well, can't any team? No, it doesn't have to be the A's. Just
doesn't well, but it feels like the A's have the power. I mean, they've got some young, good players over there. That's a story for another day. However, going back to Geno Smith, a really nice connection for a touchdown to Trey Tucker. It was a very well run route It was also a great throw, and he also made a couple of nice connections with Dante Thornton, and old Mr. Reliable, Jacoby Myers, was flashed big time today. It was just a really crisp day for the starting offense, which if you're a Raider fan, and not to harken back on harder times, but Adam was there every day with me in Costa Mesa. It was never a good day, it felt like, for the offense. It was sort of wow, this is what a good offense could potentially look like here with the Raiders. Your thoughts on Geno Smith and how he's starting to come along? Yeah, it's been up and down that's the case for every quarterback in the NFL, but it felt like he really settled in today.
Yeah, I thought even from OTAs to minicamp to the first couple of days of training camp, I thought it was a lot of unevenness, and certainly that's learning a new offense. That's all those different things, and it's also one of the things that I think we pointed out a couple of times here on the podcast. It's also there's no pad, so the defense really can't fully pass rush. So a lot of it is stopping and putting their hands up. And there was a lot of deflected passes, a lot of passing lanes that were interrupted, and I thought that made it very difficult. But today they were there, they were open, and he found them. And I thought he made some really, really good throws. Only a couple of mistakes today as compared to the last couple of days. And I thought it was very clear that he kind of took control of the offense and seized that opportunity. Especially against some rotations. I think the pass to Trey Tucker, I think it was a run. It was a run portion of the practice. They were working on the running game. I think he recognized what the defense did, and I don't know if you saw who they put out there on that play. I believe it was Trey Taylor and Hudson Clark at safety.
Okay.
And he was like, okay,
yeah,
time to go. And, and he went and threw a deep shot right there to try right across the.
And that's it's a kind of an important point that Adam just made. There's actually a DJ at practices when there's fans out here who explains what each period is going to be about, and nobody knows that more than the defense when it's a pass sequence or a period or a run period. So when they know it's a pass period, they're pinning their ears back, and they know, so it's a little bit deceiving on certain things. But I guess from my perspective, forget for a second who was defending on that play. It was an effortless throw by Geno. He let that thing fly. And it was right where it needed to be. And I think if you're looking for a positive sign of this offense, I can't tell you. I don't even know if I remember a long pass that was completed in any situation last year during training camp. It was all of those fell short, fell wide, or whatever. It was as good as it could possibly.
And
be.
That's what we've seen the first couple of days. There's been really open guys that were nowhere close. And today, some of those balls were actually being completed. I think that's a good sign of progress. And my point wasn't necessarily that he was doing against guys that probably aren't going to be on the field. It was almost the recognition of it. Like, all right, we see what's out there. Like, let's go. We're going to take a shot here. And got the open guy, got the look they wanted, and dropped it in. I mean, 50 yards downfield, perfect throw, touchdown. Like, that's what you want to see.
By the way, the first person to greet Geno after that play was Aiden O'Connell. And then conversely, Aiden did struggle today, but he did have a really nice touchdown throw to Jack Besh. Fans will be very happy to hear about that. And it was a great route by Besh. I just happened to be watching him. He was running out of the slot, and he destroyed whoever was defending him. Got open pretty quick, up the seam, long touchdown throw. The first person to greet Aiden was Geno Smith. Yeah. So it feels like the first team quarterback and the second team quarterback have a pretty nice little relationship going, and that's always going to be important. Last thing before we get out, we got a chance to talk to Michael Mayer, the Raiders' third-year tight end. And before we get to his, I thought, as usual, he was pretty forthcoming and insightful. But one thing that I've been picking up on is when the Raiders go to 11 personnel, which is you're running one running back, one tight end, and three wide receivers, and we've mentioned this for the first team offense, it's consistently been Dante Thornton, Trey Tucker, and Jacoby Myers out there as the three wide receivers. But it's also been the vast majority of the time, the tight end is actually Michael Mayer. It's Brock Bowers comes in, at least now, the first 4 days of camp, when it's multiple tight ends, which I would imagine that's going to be the vast majority of what they run is probably more 12 than 11. But they always, it seems like every time they take a snap at an 11 on 11, at least the first couple of snaps, it's going to be, it feels like it's been 11 personnel. So the fact that Michael Mayer is out there and it hasn't been Brock Bowers, I think feels feels like a way that the Raiders can get Michael Mayer more involved. I know that that's a priority here in the building. We'll see how that plays out as the season goes on. But talking to Michael Mayer, he's always been pretty forthcoming about the struggles of last year and some of the mental things that he was dealing with, and how he has that support system in place now and a process that he talked about that he's not going to deviate from. Whether he stacks 5 good days together, he's not going to forget the process involved in getting him there. Really refreshing to hear Michael be as forthcoming, even though we're never going to get into what the specific details were. I think we have a pretty good idea of maybe what he was dealing with, and the diligence that he's taken it upon himself to take care of himself, basically.
Yeah, and he said he's in as good a place as he's been since he's been in the league, and also everybody's just raved about what an offseason he's had, and it's being in the building, it's being early here, late leaving, and working hard every day, and getting his body right and everything else. And we've seen it in practices, we've seen it throughout OTAs, minicamp, and here in training camp of how well he's been performing and how much trust they seem to have in him right now. So I think it's good for him. Not obviously he's in a better place anyway, but just getting a fresh start. Not that it's necessarily a better or worse situation in terms of the coaching staff and the organization and everybody around, but it's different. It's new. Everybody gets a fresh start, and that is particularly important for somebody like him who, wants to have a clean slate of like, hey, I don't want to be judged on what happened last year, or whatever went wrong. I want to be judged going forward, and that can happen when everybody's new.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because
that is not certainly to blame anybody.
No,
that was here.
Of course not. And he wouldn't.
Right, and that's just more. Hey, everybody starts new, so I'm good with that.
Right, and to that point, I got a chance to talk to Michael before everyone else kind of came over, and if you remember, Pete Carroll talked about how it all started with he and Michael Mayer by sitting down and talking.
Yeah,
and Michael told me it was an hour-and-a-half conversation. Now, I'm just saying that's a long conversation to have with your head coach. You one-on-one. There's not enough time in the day for the head coach to have an hour-and-a-half conversation with players, and he appreciated it so much, and it was the first sign to him of how much Pete Carroll is relationship driven, and how he knows it's person over player. Player will take care of itself. And just really the genuine appreciation that he had that his head coach took the time to talk to him and lay things out. And this is our expectations. This is how we roll. This is how, what about you? And it wasn't, and he made this very clear. It wasn't a my way or the highway thing. Right. It was soliciting and seeking input from Michael as well. Another part that he approached it or that he appreciated. So your thought, and I know that when you came over, he kind of mentioned a couple of those components too with Pete Carroll.
Yeah, for sure. And he just said, and again, it's you're cautious when you talk about this because it sounds like it's like blaming or taking shots, but it's more just where he is mentally. But he just said, he has a conversation in the hallway of like just how was your day kind of thing.
Right.
Like it's that's a beneficial thing for him. But he also said it's a work in progress. Like he got to a good place. That doesn't mean like, well, I'm good now and we can move forward. Like he has to keep doing the things that he did and keep stacking up successful days and keep working on his mental state and his emotional state and all those things. It's a process. Like you don't just get better and then you're good.
Right.
And he knows that and he understands that. And I think it's important for him to realize that going forward.
Absolutely. All right. So that's a wrap up from day 4 of training camp. Some interesting things going on here. We'll see how interesting it really is, specifically at that center position. Tomorrow, Monday, it's the first day of pads. We all kind of get geeked up about that. I know the players are getting geeked up. There was a little bit of a ruckus out there today between Adam Butler and Caleb Rogers, the rookie offensive guard. So kind of a precursor to maybe what we're going to see tomorrow. It's going to get really physical, really fast here with the Raiders. We'll be here to talk about it and to analyze it and put it all in perspective for you. And thank you so much for your support. Don't forget to hit that like button, the subscribe button, comment, ask us questions. We're here to answer them. If there's some that we can carry over and answer tomorrow or later on in the week, we absolutely will. So we like the engagement, no doubt about it. I want to say thanks to the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I want to say thanks to Station Casinos, STN Sports. Our producer, Dom, is over there waving. Hey, Dom, what's going on? Thank you for all your hard work. Adam Hill, thank you. We'll see you guys tomorrow.